Hello everyone and welcome to the Pony Podcast, another episode of the Pony Podcast. This week we got completely carried away talking to the lovely Nicola Kinnard-Comedie from NKC Equestrian. Nicola runs first aid courses for horses, well, for riders who are looking to take better care of their horses. And we got so carried away talking to her. This episode lasted, well, much longer than I'm sure anyone wants to listen all in one go. So we decided to split it up for you. You've got half of it this week and half of it next week. So you've got something to look forward to. I hope you enjoy it. All right.
Yeah, well, I don't really know what we're going to talk about in them, so they're just bullet points at the moment.
That works.
What's BCS? Can you put that on your list? It might have been a
Body
typo.
Condition School.
Oh, okay.
That's coming up quite nicely. Right. I've been given a computer program to help even out volumes because normally I project quite a lot more than Alex does. So I end up having to shimmy everything around.
So we've just started and we'll just let it run a little bit rather than having to like stop and go.
No, it's fine. I'm pretty chill.
Oh, I mean,
So,
I'll let you guys lead it.
You sent me a message the other day and said, what are the things you get asked? You know, what are some of the myths that you kind of bust on the horse first aid course? And I think it was a Sunday. I have a feeling I was like a soft play or something. So you got quite a short answer back. But I was like, these are all the things I think of. But there are so many areas I think owners are confused. So off the top of my head, colic is definitely one. Lots of myths around colic. Eyes.
Yeah.
Got a load of eye things to go through.
Eyes make me feel all funny.
Wounds.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got some great pictures, which I may or may not show you, depending on whether I want to see those chocolate biscuits again. Those, I think, are some of the biggest issues. What else did I put on my list?
You said, so it's colic, eyes, vaccinations, first aid, choke.
Oh yes,
laminitis,
choke's a great one,
and BCS. We might not do so much on the colic and the laminitis because we've got one coming up soon with a vet and laminitis. And we've done an episode on colic. But if you can think of anything we didn't cover, or you can think of any other topics.
Really,
there's so many myths around colic, though, aren't there?
There's so many myths around colic. I think what I'd really like to reiterate around colic is, which I know you guys have covered before, is the
don't walk them.
Yeah, what does walking mean? Because somebody will say, we say on our horse first aid course, gentle hand walking can be helpful. Don't force walk the horse. And this is where people get confused because they hear don't walk a horse with colic, but then someone will say, oh, but when my horse had colic the other week, the vet said to walk it. And I think what's really good to clarify is your horse should walk like you're just leading it to the field, just normal strolling along, and the concept of dragging it. You know, you guys are a little bit younger than me, but when I was younger, not that old, when I was quite young, I do remember seeing a horse with colic when my pony was stabled, and it's like 10 people chasing after it, whips, brooms, the whole shebang, clapping and shooing, and this probably went on for hours. And I know vets talk about getting to horses that have been treated like that, and however bad the horse felt to begin with, it feels 10 times worse. We liken colic to a human having like appendix or appendicitis, sorry, not appendix. So if you've imagine on Christmas Day, you've had the Christmas lunch, you feel full, you go on the walk, you feel a bit better because you've just got a full stomach. You're just like maybe gassy. I think that's the best way to describe it. No amount of walking, if you need abdominal surgery, is going to help. If you've just overindulged, maybe it will. So I think that's a really, really important one. And then the rolling. People worry, oh, my horse can't roll, and that's where the walking idea comes from. People are obsessed about keeping the horse moving in case it rolls, but the advice we give on our course is that rolling is highly unlikely to cause any further problems because your horse rolls every day in the field. Your horse doesn't get a twisted gut from rolling in the field. Your horse is probably trying to roll because it's so uncomfortable. It's trying to get itself sort of sorted, but okay, it's not ideal if they start rolling on concrete, but just put them in a safe place. Could you put them in the arena, indoor school, outdoor school, even a field, so that they are safer? And get out of the way. I think that's the other thing. People think they need to be a hero. We did have a vet describe how he went to treat a colic and the owner had been kicked. So the first thing to do was sort out the owner.
Yeah.
The horse is still uncomfortable, still needs his attention, but he had to get to the human first. So I think those would be the biggest myths around colic to clear up. Yeah. And also probably another one that some people do admit to, which is brave of them on a course, is that horse owners like to squirrel away medication.
Yeah.
It's true.
Definitely don't do that.
Definitely don't do that. But some horses will, you might have 3 horses and you've got an older stiff horse and it is on 1 bute a day and that's all fine. But then horse owners think, oh, well, I'll just take one of Bobby, Sonny, whoever's butes and give it to Misty, who looks a bit colicky. Yeah. They don't call their vet, and then they don't necessarily tell their vet.
Oh, it's help you. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that is, it's not so much a myth, it's just totally bad practice, but to not to try and play the vet, not to sort of self-medicate your horse. And if you have done anything like that, just, fess up. Yeah. If we went to the doctors with a stomach ache but forgot to say, oh yeah, I had 4 ibuprofen before I got here, I'm actually feeling a lot better now. Yeah. The poor vet can't give make an accurate diagnosis or assessment of your horse if you haven't really given them all the facts. Yeah. So although it's not a myth, I think that is something that we do hear a lot. But yeah, I said you guys have talked about colic a lot, but that's definitely.
I mean, we used to have. I think we did do a clear up. We used to have, so much medication stuck in a cupboard.
Should we do?
Yeah.
Should we get going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Sorry, I like my intros.
She does
I think otherwise it's like you start and it's like, where is this going?
I quite like when it's like that. I like when it's a bit
what sort of structure do you want to follow then?
So we'll sort of do an intro, say who you are, what you do, what we've come to talk to you about, and then I'll start with the topic.
Yeah.
And have a bit of a chat.
Yeah. And which topic do you want to start with?
Let's start with eyes. Because they're quite important, and also I've got a good eye story.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a good eye story.
Yeah.
I have got this whole list of eye myths. Right, perfect. Got my eye myths up.
Okay. Yay! Do you want to go?
Right.
This is such a surprise to a lot of owners. So I've got 5 myths that we've heard on the course time and time again, which is now why I've got them as part of the course. So first myth would be, my horse has got a swollen eye, I'm just going to wait and see. And we've had, on our online first aid course, we've got quite a gruesome case study. I mean, it's a slightly sad outcome for this pony, but pony is a companion pony, 24-year-old Connemara pony from one of my vets in Ireland. Had a swollen eye on the Friday, slightly closed eye. Owner says doesn't really do anything about it. On Monday, the horse has to have his eye removed. Ugh. Yeah, I know, it's really sad.
What had happened to it? Like, what did it?
It had an ulcer. So the fact its eye was shut just shows, the eye being closed is such a sign of trauma. Like the horse is a preying, the last thing it wants to do is shut its eye. It only does that if it's really desperate. If they'd got the vet out straight away, maybe that could have been treated. Yeah. And what's most sad, apart from the fact that poor pony lost its eye, is I'm sure that owners don't call the vet immediately because they are worried about cost implications. That pony went on to have surgery, stay in hospital.
Yeah.
It's such a false economy. And you said you've got a great story
mine is sort of related to that. So mine is pretty much, I know eyes are really serious and I know that you should call the vet. But my horse, 2 years ago, it was on the Monday, had a bit of a closed eye. No discharge, not even that closed. Just looked like, if you shine a light in it and it kind of goes. And I can't see it at the podcast, but I'm closing my eye a little bit. And then the next day it was better, normal. And I was like, oh, well, maybe it just got a bit of dust. And then the next day it was back to that again. And then it was normal. And then it was back to that. And then it was worse. And then it got to Sunday. And I was like, oh, it's a Sunday. And it's not any better. And it's been a week. And I should have called the vet earlier because it's a Sunday now. I've got a Sunday call out. And the vet came out and she had little dots on her eyeball. And he gave me some drugs for a couple of days. And he was like, if it doesn't get any better in a couple of days, call me back and we'll see what we can do. And I called him back and he was like, right, there's an eye clinic down the road. Take her there. Took her there and she had a fungal infection in her eye. She was in hospital for 3 weeks and had to have the top layer of her eye removed.
Oh, bless her.
She's now fine.
Yeah.
She's now absolutely fine.
So gross.
But yeah, and they kept sending me all these pictures of, because they dye it green.
Yeah.
And it was like the whole, I think it was at least half her eye. The middle they'd taken out and it was just the top and it was all green and it was gross. But I was like, okay, yeah.
I mean, so often an eye condition, if you catch it fast, can be treated on the yard.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, you need to be quite frequently medicated, and sometimes I think it is actually probably easier and maybe even cheaper to send the horse off to the clinic to get it, someone else to do it for you. But yeah, I think such false economy not to get the vet quick enough. So yeah, wait and see is definitely a myth to bust around eyes. Home remedies or cold tea. We hear cold tea.
I'm sure I've used cold tea before.
So cold tea can be beneficial for like cleaning around the eyes with. But if you're expecting cold tea to do the job of prescription-only medicine, it's just not going to do it.
And we've definitely used cold tea before.
So I think it's because people have done in the past, and sometimes whether the cold tea worked or whether it was just luck,
the horse just got better.
We can't always know. But then people go, oh well, it worked for so and so they think they'll do it themselves. You know, as I said, great for like getting rid of those sort of crusty, dischargey bits around their eyes from flies and some of it. That's not going to clear up an ulcer. No, it's just
no
basic science. That's just not going to happen. So yeah, don't expect a miracle out of a tea bag. You know, your horse's eyes. Does your horse not deserve to, you know, keep the use of its sight in both eyes? So cold tea could have small benefits. Not going to cut it. And I think the problem is when your horse got a swollen eye or a closed eye, you don't know what the problem is. So like you said, your horse had a fungal infection. And we can't guess. That's the trouble. So yeah, that will be one to avoid.
It's not like when you see a cut in their leg and you're like, it's cut its leg. I know how big it is. I know how much it's bleeding. I know how important
definitely. It is. Another one we hear is, oh well, my son or daughter had conjunctivitis last week or even last year.
I'll just use that.
Yes, I'll use that. Cream drops, whatever they had.
Oh God!
I think your cringes just really sum up. These. Did you just say you did that?
My mum did that. She had a really elderly Shetland, and she went and bought some eye drops from the chemist.
She was like, they're about the same size. That'll do.
And used it on the Shetland.
Did it work?
I mean, it didn't get any worse.
So, human medication is probably what is actually going to be prescribed from the vet, because there isn't actually like a horse version. Eye medication. But basically there's two main types of eye conditions and there's two types of products, and you've got a 50% chance of getting the right way around. So if you get the wrong product in the wrong condition, you make it worse. Oh no. So it could have just been luck.
I think it was luck
that worked. Which is why we definitely don't advise it. Because where you need your vet to help you. But we have heard people say, exactly like I said, my son also had this last week, year, month, whatever, so I just use that. And the other one we hear all the time is reusing existing eye medication. So maybe somebody else in the yard really helpfully says, you don't need the vet. My horse had the same problem with its eye last year, month, whatever.
10 years ago.
Just have this, And you know, it doesn't take a genius to see that using one cream, one tube, whatever drops, putting it from one horse to another is just not going to be a good idea. And one, you know, that course of treatment should have been finished up and then the product disposed of. Or if a horse has got an ongoing condition, you just don't want to be swapping through all that bacteria. You know, your horse had the fungal eye infection. Just imagine passing that on to another horse. So that's definitely not a good idea. But these are all things that people have said, oh, I've done that.
I mean, we've definitely done that.
I was really hoping that we'd be like nodding and like, oh yes, we do everything perfectly with this episode.
And then said we're just there like, I've done that.
Okay. What comes up?
Done in the past, not going to do it again.
The more you learn.
The more you learn. And the other one, which I have heard people say, is I'll open up the eye and have a look. The horse has got a sore eye, its eyes shut. Well, I'll just, I'll open up and have a look.
We had a talk from our vets, ages ago, because they run like a lecture series in the winter. And they were saying the muscles that close the eye are some of the strongest in the body. Like, it's really hard work trying to, even if you just put your hand up and they shut their eye, trying to prise it open when they don't have anything in there.
Well, I think a good analogy is if you're washing your hair in the shower and you get shampoo in your eye shuts itself tight. And even if you're trying to open your eye, it bloody hurts.
It's fine. I can take it out.
It hurts your eye. And one, you're going to struggle to open your eye, and two, it really hurts. It's the same for the horse. They're shutting their eye because it's a sign of ocular pain, and we should not be trying to.
And the last thing you want is if they do have like a foreign body or something, you don't want to be scraping that across the surface.
Exactly. It's so delicate.
Oh, I feel really weird. They make my toes curl, eyes. Oh, gross.
But that's probably how the poor horse feels. And then there's somebody going, just open this up, shove a tea bag in there, that'll fix it all. Some old crusty conjunctivitis medication.
I'm a big believer that a cup of tea just solves so many problems.
But not for eyes.
I think making yourself a cup of tea as the owner while you wait for the vet is probably a very, very good idea. But those are my sort of favourite eye myths that we hear. But I think the biggest thing that owners sort of myth to bust is waiting and seeing is generally not the cheapest option. And I think I know I've already said it, but so many owners are worried about cost implications with getting the vet out. But I do think it's a false economy not to at least check in with your vet. Vets are so kind, they're so helpful. You can just chat with them on the phone.
Yeah, ours is great. Well, like if I ring him up, he'll talk to me about anything. Yeah, so they are great.
Even when I phoned up about my horse, because I phoned up on a Sunday, and obviously Sunday's emergency only, and I was like, obviously it's a Sunday, obviously if you don't think it's worth coming out, don't. He was like, no, I'll be there in an hour. And I was like, oh, okay.
The last time I had to call, my horse had to see a vet on a Sunday. We had a lorry load of horses going to a competition, and I put her on the lorry. And then we got to the competition, and I called the vet over and was like, oh, I think her tendon probably needs scanning. And he was like, why did you bring her if you thought her tendon needed scanning? And I was like, saves me a call out fee, doesn't it? I bring her. And he respected it, but you could see him like, oh, come on.
All adds up, I suppose. All adds up. Exactly. But like you said about not getting them out because it's the weekend, I think that's where people need to be extra vigilant on a Friday. Thinking, oh, maybe my horse looks a bit off this morning. Yeah. Not leaving that till the evening and then going, oh, well, I'll just wait and see in the morning. You're not going to have a very good night's sleep if you're worried about your horse. No. And then, of course, you're into, out of hours call out, and of course a potentially worse outcome for your horse. So I think eyes, just treat eyes as seriously as colics. If you say colic to an owner, they're all right, vet, they're on it. Eyes just seem to kind of get a bit neglected.
Need to work on their marketing, do eyes?
I think they do.
I think that about everything now. Start working on marketing at everything I see. Oh, needs to work on its marketing.
Well, hopefully that's a plug for the eye. So treat it as seriously as colic.
Yeah.
So kind of along the same vein of when to call your vet. What are some sort of first aid myths that people come up to you with?
I think one with cuts would be like you mentioned your horse has cut its leg. You guys have obviously got a good knowledge of anatomy with horses, so what goes where is so important. You've got a working knowledge to this day of anatomy, but I think being misled by the size of a cut I think is a real common problem, because it's location with cuts, isn't it? It could be the smallest cut in the wrong place, and if you don't really know exactly where a tendon is or exactly how big a joint is, like the elbow, where we were looking at hocks on a course on Saturday, where the point of the hock is, which is that's the joint.
No,
it's not at all.
And it's not just one joint. There are so many bones in there.
So if you've got no idea, and I think most owners, you would just think, oh, it's sort of roughly over there, haven't really got a good strong anatomy knowledge, you can't really make that judgment call. And I think owners dismiss a cut as because it's small, but they don't consider the location. So I think that is a real first aid problem. And then products in the first aid kit. So on our first aid course, we start the section of what to have in your horse first aid kit by saying, right, I'm going to tell you what you need, what you don't need, and what you can chuck in the bin. And I think that some of the products people use is just still makes me laugh. So you've probably seen me speak before about Hibi Scrub, so we don't recommend people use Hibi Scrub anymore. We recommend saline solution, simply because Hibi Scrub it's for surgeons. It's meant for a hospital.
It's like a soap, isn't it? It's astringent.
So strong. It's meant to kill everything. So it's to make an area sterile for surgery. Surgeon and horse, or humans, used in hospitals as well. But that's not what we should be doing on a yard when we're treating a small cut ourselves. If we think we need the whole thing sterile, we're going to need a vet. That's going to be serious. And owners, if you're using Heavy Scrub, and it has, still got some uses, but it's probably best to just use it to wash your hands with. When you put it in a bucket of water, it should barely change the colour of the water. But, and I know I have been guilty of this before, you think, that won't be doing anything. Yeah. Lug a bit more. And so people
so it's
are
nice and bright pink.
washing wounds. It looks like Ribena. It's so strong. And then, they think, give this a good scrub. And they're literally taking off, several layers of skin. I don't think owners realise how delicate a wound is. And one of the first principles of horse and human medicine is to not do any further damage to a wound. And I think owners don't realise that, and they have the best intentions, and they're so worried about the dirt that they have no idea of the damage that they're causing to the wound. So Hibby Scrub is definitely a myth, and scrubbing it and using it too strong. Saline solution is so much kinder to the wound. We don't. Yes, we want to get rid of the bad stuff, but we want to promote a good healing environment. And Hibby Scrub, if you use it too strong, you use it repeatedly, you can slow down wound healing. And I don't think owners realise that. We changed our recommendation on the course in sort of April 2018. So we've been progressively telling more and more people, saline over Hibby. You can buy saline ready prepared. You can literally just use saline solution you would if you wear contact lenses, or you can just make it up with salt and water. So
I did work experience at a vet when I was about 16, so ages ago. But I was told then not to use Hibby Scrub because it's too much like a soap, but to use Pevidine instead, which is I think iodine based. Yeah. But it's still you then have to make it really, really dilute because it is so strong.
Yeah. And that's why we say keep the Hibby Scrub or iodine back of the cupboard, and because that should be for the really super contaminated wound, or on the advice of your vet, or just clean your own hands with. Yeah. And use saline first line.
If you're going to make up your saline solution, how would you recommend people know how strong it is? Yeah. Because when you put the salt in, it doesn't you've done anything to the water.
Yeah, definitely. Teaspoon of salt, litre of water. Okay. So not even very much.
Yeah. That seems like so I'd want it really seawater strong, and then you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, and that again, I think it's such a misconception, and I'm totally with you because you just think that's just doing nothing, and you're trying to help. Yeah. But I think we try to help so much as horse owners, but sometimes we are so misguided and we are making 10 times worse for our poor horses. So Hibby Scrub is definitely a myth that I'd really like to bust. Yeah. Also, what to put on a wound. Go to a tack shop. There's look online. There's a million and one things, and they often have the word wound or the word veterinary in. So you can easily think, that's going to be perfect. But actually most things clog up a wound. So we know that the best things to put on a wound, like topical products, are hydrogel, because it will keep a wound slightly moist. That's a great myth. People think, I've got to dry a wound out.
Keep it moist.
You need to keep it. There's always going to be one wound that's an exception, but for the vast majority, you don't want to dry them out. You want to keep them slightly moist because that promotes the best healing environment. That's where hydrogel is a great product to use. Flamazine, you mentioned earlier, that's another really good product. And if you can't, hydrogel, have you guys used hydrogels? It comes out like a bit quite gloopy, like a bit like a jelly.
Oh, we've got Hypercare, but that's
sort of similar product. So it's best if you can use a dressing and a bandage, but of course horses don't always conform to bandaging certain areas, and it's not always possible. So Flamazine, although you need to get it from your vet, is a really good product because you're unlikely to cause any kind of harm or damage with it. And most vets, if you say, I'm restocking my horse first aid kit, I'm chucking out all the things I know I don't need, we're more than happy to supply like a small pot or tube of Flamazine. So Sudocrem on wounds, that's quite a popular favourite. And so having chatted lots of my vets about this, I think the consensus across the vets I work with is that if you haven't got anything better, for a very minor superficial sort of scrape to keep a few flies off, it's probably not the worst thing you could use, but it's not, you shouldn't go in a wound without a doubt. But people think because it says on the packet or on the pot something like gentle, we associate it with babies. So it just sounds good, doesn't it? But if you think about what it's meant to do to a baby's bottom, it's meant to protect it. It's not meant to let anything in or out, but that's not what we want from a wound. A wound's going to have, exudate's the posh word, rubbish, I can think of other words which I won't say. we don't, we need some stuff to come out of the wound. We need to be able to breathe. And if we've stuck something on, the idea of a barrier sounds really sensible to stop any, muck or gunk getting in. But I think owners don't realise that a wound does need to breathe and some stuff needs to come back out of the wound. So that's where clogging it up with something like Hibby Scrub, we've all put Hibby Scrub on our hands and then spent about 3 days getting it off again. Yeah. It's just not ideal.
I worked in a yard where we had, I had a sample of Hypercare because it was when they were first bringing it out, and we had a bottle of iodine as well, and we'd been using iodine on any horse that had a cut, and obviously they like jump away from it and you're like, oh, they're just being silly. And then me and my friend, we both cut our hands on like a gate and just had like a little nick. So she put iodine on her hand and was like, oh, it's completely fine, it doesn't hurt at all, put it on. Oh my god, iodine hurts so much, like, oh my god, it hurts so much. And so I swore a lot, mainly at her because she'd obviously known, and then washed it off and put Hypercare on. And Hypercare, it's just like water, like it doesn't hurt at all. And I went through like a week where I just ruined one of my hands, and I got a different cut the next day and just left it. And the Hypercare one like healed the next day, and the one I left got a bit infected and was a bit manky for a while.
No, I'm not surprised actually. Yeah, there's quite a really famous vet, and he's quite well known to say, don't put anything in a wound you wouldn't put in your own eye.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
It's a good expression, isn't it? So, iodine. I don't fancy putting that one. Pseudocreme, neither.
No. And I hadn't really appreciated that iodine really, really hurts. It really hurts.
I think that's the problem with the horses as well, because obviously they don't talk.
And they are generally very stoic.
Yeah, and you can't gauge it. And whenever you try to, clean a cut, because you think, oh no, it's going to sting if I'm told to stay still, you're like, oh, just get on with it. Just get on with it. But actually, if you're using like 10 times strength Hibby Scrub, it is going to hurt.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember that. So Alex's sister has my old pony, and I remember him having a cut and leaping around like you wouldn't believe, and me just being like, oh, he's being so ridiculous. And I had the Hypercare and I sprayed it on, and you could literally see his brain going, oh, that doesn't. Oh, okay, no, I can stand still now. And then he was fine, but it was literally like you could see him like.
Well, it's a great experiment. Like, I think that sums up really well that we are generally putting the wrong products on. Yeah. And I can't let blue or purple spray go without mention, because those, as a product that owners, I'd say every person's got a horse has got blue / purple spray.
Yeah. And people will die on that hill. They swear by it.
Yeah, they do. They do swear by it because it's what they've used for 20 plus years. And I think it's also a misconception, because you can get sprays from a vet, and for a particular wound in a particular place on a certain horse, that would be exactly the right product. But what you're getting from a tack shop, what you're getting from a vet, totally different. Products you're getting online or from a tack shop, they don't have antibiotics in.
No.
They don't have. They're just kind of like.
Well, you hope they don't have antibiotics in.
They don't. They're not going to have the same uses as or the same strength or the same efficacy as a product that you're getting from your vet. So I think that's a real misconception, and they're meant to just dry a wound up, which we now know is not the ideal thing. Great for feet, like thrusting the foot or something, perfect, but no, not for a wound. No. Which leads me nicely to my favourite product, wound powder, which is the one for the bin. So you guys may be a bit young for wound powder, but when I was a child, wound powder was all the rage. Yeah. I think there wasn't really anything else. Wound powder was the thing. It had
moved on to purple spray by the time I came through.
Purple spray was the new kid on the block. Yeah. So I'm a bit older than you guys. But if you've ever used wound powder, imagine just getting basically talcum powder, but with a very small nozzle, with the horse, as we've just said, probably not standing still, around, and trying to sort of puff it into the wound. So it basically ends up wearing it. And if you do get it in the wound, it just clogs it up, which we've just been saying how a wound needs to breathe. So wound powder is always the product, I say, in the bin. But people still have it. You can still buy it.
You can still buy it.
Yeah, still buy it.
You can still buy it. You can still buy everything.
But it says veterinary on it. So if you were a new horse owner, or
you'd be like, oh yeah, that's great.
Well, it sounds like a sensible choice. Veterinary wound powder. Doesn't that sound like the ideal product to use?
Yeah, I have to say, and this is no disrespect to anyone that's listening, at all. It's more an eye-opener for me, because I've spent quite a lot of time over the years on or professional yards where, you know, they have nutritionists coming in, vets coming in a lot. And I've recently moved to be on a livery yard. And the number of people that don't have like a basic first aid kit or first aid knowledge, or some of the stuff that even things you're telling us, I'm thinking, I'm maybe I'm not so hot on that, but other things I'm like, this is basic,
very basic
sense. And I think it's so important to just increase the knowledge. And you've probably found over the years of doing your talks that people come in and you're like, I really need to help you.
That is exactly why I run the Horse First Aid courses, because I want to help people. People have the best intentions, but they don't have. They have knowledge from 30 plus years ago, or they don't have the knowledge, or they're relying on the yard experts who might say things with lots of power and strength, but doesn't mean that they are an expert. And just because someone tells them they should do X, Y, and Z, it's not necessarily
and there's
the
no
right
like
thing to do.
round robin email updating everyone on the new science.
You know?
And you have like the yard expert might not actually be the most knowledgeable on the yard. They just shout the loudest.
Exactly.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that first half of our episode with NKC Equestrian, also known as Nicola Kinnard-Comedie. We've got a whole nother half for you to enjoy next week. In the meantime, you can keep up with us on Instagram at The Pony Podcast, Facebook at The Pony Podcast, and if you have any episodes that you want to request, email us at theponypod@gmail.com. We're also on the Flick app, so you can join our group, and then everything you want to tell us comes straight direct to our pockets. So get in touch in the meantime, and I hope you're looking forward to next week. All right, bye!